We keep being told by lefties that the climate wars are over in Australia, and they call the climate wars you disagreeing with their version of what they want to do. Because you know what the actual cost of transition is. Now, they'll try to tell us uphill and down day that there's 600,000 jobs in them hills. Best case scenario, 64,000 jobs, and they're in the building of the infrastructure, not the maintaining of it, because it doesn't require the same maintaining that the current system does. They'll tell us $20 billion will be enough to rewire the nation. The CSIRO tells us it's $1 trillion. Now, the Prime Minister, he aimed up on all of this last week. It was brilliant in question time. If you want fight on this issue, he gave it to you.
Labor policies put up electricity prices, Mr Speaker, because Labor policies on emission reduction, Mr Speaker, close down manufacturing. It closes down the resources industry, Mr Speaker. It takes away people's livelihoods, Mr Speaker. We know it from the Leader of the Greens himself. The Leader of the Greens knows that if the Leader of the Labor Party were to become Prime Minister of this country, he would be answering to the Leader of the Greens when it comes to climate policy. So if you're living up there in the Hunter, if you're living out in the Trove, Mr Speaker, if you're up there in the Northern Territory or the resources industry in Western Australia, if the Labor Party seeks to form a government after this election, they'll be doing it with the Greens, and they'll be putting up the electricity prices, and they'll be selling out the blue-collar jobs of this country.
And the whinging in The Guardian. You're not allowed to say this anymore. You can't point out the problem with Albo's energy policy. At the prospect of ending a decade of climate bollocks, the PM donned a dusty Abbott onesie and zipped it up. You see, to say at all what the cost of this transition is means you're as bad as that knuckle-dragger Tony Abbott. Rubbish. If there's a bad mousetrap, then fine, but be honest about what the cost of transition is. The CSIRO tells us $1 trillion. You promise $20 billion. You say that it'll unlock $56 billion in investment. The cost is $1 trillion. And this is all apparently for climate. Well, guess what the President of France is doing? He's building a whole bunch of nuclear energy sites. At least 6 more, with another 8 after that. Why? Climate change. Meantime, in Australia, because the money is there in the renewable energy sector, we are blowing up coal-fired power plant after coal-fired power plant. The cost? Power bills keep going up. In the ACT, it's 100% renewable power. Not really. It's 100% renewable power that's made in the ACT. The rest of it is an extension cord to New South Wales. Yet bills went up 20%. In Victoria, they're going to blow up a coal-fired power station that makes more than 20% of their energy and will replace it with a battery. Now, a battery can store, but a battery doesn't produce. But to talk about any of this means, of course, heresy. I just want people to know up front. If the Australian people know, look, this is what we're going to do and this is how much it's going to cost, over to you. But they know that the majority of Australians don't want to pay anything for the cost of transition because we've already paid enough for the cost of transitions multiple times before. And even after all of this, China can keep doing whatever the hell it wants till 2030.